Driver Andy Suchek. Andy, again, more technical dramas in race one and getting ready for race two. So it seems it's not just the concrete walls on the street circuit that are difficult for the cars. Mechanically, it's difficult as well. We'll get to Andy in a second. Let's just catch up with Abby Griffiths on the grid.
Yeah, I'm literally just about to get off the grid, but Olympiakos is also off the grid. He's starting from pit lane, and that's because he had problems with the gearbox that they were looking at in race one. They found that there was a sensor problem. They've changed it, but he's come back into the pit lane just to make sure everything's okay.
So we are getting ready to send our cars away in what seems to be gathering gloom. It's coming up to 3 o'clock in the afternoon local time here in Beijing. It looks like 6 in the evening, and when you're walking around you can just feel the moisture in the air, almost like a little misty haze of rain. There doesn't seem to be any rain coming yet, but maybe that'll make the track surface a little bit more treacherous for the drivers. Now, as before, we're going to go around with the cars behind the safety car. They will do 2 laps in single file and then be released for the start. So we are now just 20 seconds away from rolling off and everybody jumping through the holes in the fence that are cut as escape routes in case of accident. So it's not exactly the easiest thing in the world to get all the tyre trolleys and mechanics off the grid safely. So Davide Rigon from Anderlecht leads the field away, and Andy, this is a situation you know very well. Now all the preparation, all the ifs and the buts and the maybes are gone. It's just now to get down to being the driver in the car.
Yeah. Well, obviously, you know, I spoke to some of the drivers. They told me about their issues in the first race. Looks like Alvaro Puente was starting on pole, had a problem with a fuel bump, and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna quit racing. I don't want to race anymore." I think that's something that can happen to any of us many times in our career. You know, so to be so unlucky, to be on pole position, have such a silly issue that normally never happens with a car, but now it was the case. He couldn't do anything for it. He's still starting on the top, but he expected to be starting P2. He's starting now P4. This kind of, you know, motivation is quite important for the driver to know that you're able to fight for wins, but actually getting the position that you expected. Now he's starting 4th. Is he going to risk on the start? Is he going to risk during the race? Is he going to make a longer pit stop? You know, all these kind of things are going on his mind right now.
I spoke to him and he was chatting to Earl Bamber just before they were suiting up, and I suggested that since Earl drove the car last week, it was probably his fault that the car had broken. It just didn't quite get time to brake under him. But yeah, it's, you know, that's the luck of the draw, isn't it? Mechanical things happen, and a lot of the time for no reason. More quick dry down there, unfortunately, from the support races, so somebody's clearly had a bit of an incident there. But the drivers will get a couple of laps. First of all, Andy, to be aware of where the oil is, and secondly, to try and clear some of that cement dust away. Now, we're hoping maybe to get a quick word from Craig Dolby, so if he comes up on the team radio, we'll cut out. But again, it's looking very gloomy outside. This is about the darkest we've seen it at any stage. Rain now is what nobody wants, really.
Well, it's incredibly foggy here, and for the driver, I could see Rigon was changing his visor just before the race into a, let's say, transparent one, because you need the visibility here. You have less reference here. You can see on the camera, you can barely see the safety car. Obviously, the camera is not like as bright as a normal eye, but it's quite difficult. You know, you have to get precise, and for that you need all the elements. Marcos Martinez is running with a very dark visor, for example. I don't know if this is going to make a difference, but for sure, let's say a transparent one is going to give you more confidence. It's sure.
He didn't manage to see the Atletico car in the first race, so yeah, maybe that might be a problem.
Perhaps that's a problem. No, but you're right. I mean, it's very dark. You can see the fog also with the lights of the safety car. Here in China or in Beijing, for whatever reason, at 5:30 it starts to get dark, but it goes like very quickly. In half an hour it's completely dark. I wanted to do my track walk 2 days ago, and I went out, and all of a sudden it was kind of no light at all. Hopefully we still have 1 hour and a half here. It won't be dark, but it will be a difficult visibility.
It certainly will. Just another difficulty to add to the dramas on the streets. Crowds are in their seats and the cars are on their final formation lap. Lights are off on the safety car, so we will go green at the end of this lap. Safety car will pull off into the pit lane, and then the leader, Davide Rigon, will pace the field until the lights are switched off, and then it's go for everybody. You're not allowed to pass until the start-finish line, and of course that was one of the dramas with Alvaro Parente slowing right down at the beginning of race one. Hopefully should be no similar dramas here.
Yeah, now everybody's going to be on the push to pass for the first lap on the start. And perhaps someone doesn't use it and thinks it's better to use it on the second lap. You know, you have to use the push to pass. You have only 1 minute, and it seems like they have already gone on power. They've got a smooth start for the moment. You can see Alvaro is trying with Atletico car on the outside. Yeah, and he got him.
Yeah, good clean pass. It is Anderlecht that leads, Sevilla in second, and Atletico coming under pressure from Roma. Down the inside of Lyonnais goes Liverpool, so they picked up a place as well. Galatasaray, that gearbox issue in race one hasn't stopped them. Lyonnais having a look back, Spurs in front of Beijing, taking it cautious perhaps on the first couple of laps, because as the cars spread out in front of you, Andy, when you're that far down the grid, you see the cars sparking there over the bridge. They're so heavy with fuel now, that must really be hitting the driver underneath, kicking you up the backside.
Absolutely, everybody's running very low now because of fuel loads, and you can see the fire coming down of the underwood and of the carbon of the car. And as I can see, Alvaro is now having the best pace of the top 3 drivers. As I say, it's very difficult to overtake. Ooh, you can see Marcos Martinez.
Anderlecht making a mistake. Ran a little wide before. Martinez takes the lead. Parente goes through as well. Yeah, and that was the first corner under green flags as well, because there's a long part in the middle of the circuit that is yellow flag area. So we saw Anderlecht, just noticed him drifting a little wide in the previous corners 9 and 10, and then made another mistake, and he's in trouble there, because look, they're ganging up on him. Down the inside comes Atletico, through goes Roma as well. Davide Rigon must now be very grateful this is not a points race. He's now dropped down to 7th place as Galatasaray go through, and Milan and the rest are queuing up to have a go at him as well.
That's all kind of problem. I mean, here you have the engineer talking to him. Looks like he's very, very slow. He will be got a problem with Alvaro's jumping on this bridge. You can see the fire because it's so dark now,
yeah,
and you couldn't see it before because it was brighter.
Now, yeah. This is Anderlecht. This is after he made the first error. He's a little wide. Yeah. Sevilla down the inside. He had nowhere to go, really, Davide.
Yeah, I mean, Davide there is on the dirty part of the track. When he sees Sevilla, he obviously has to back off, and then Alvaro gets good traction out there. He doesn't really... I mean, it's quite smooth, I would say, from Anderlecht. He could have been worse.
Yeah, if he tried to shut the door there would have been a big crash, and everybody else would have been involved. Sevilla would have been the only car to escape it.
Yeah.
So trouble for Anderlecht then, plummeting down the order. He's really looks uncomfortable. Atletico and Roma go around the outside. That's a great move from Gian Jus.
Yeah, that was a good move. You can see also the brakes were absolutely red. It means that, you know, the brakes get around 700, 800 degrees at the moment of hard braking, and he was using everything on that braking, probably on push to pass as well. Big queue there.
Girondin, yeah, at the back of that with race one winners Tottenham. But at the moment, Sevilla jumping away out front. And this huge battle here is really good for the leader, because there's only a few cars able to chase him. Right there with Craig Dolby, showing you just how much fast-moving metal and carbon fibre there is right in front of him. Anderlecht holding everybody up now. Liverpool want to get through. Sporting want to get through. And the problem is, when you're all forced to go a little slower like this, Andy, is that everybody's suddenly having a go at the car in front.
Yeah,
and it gets very busy.
It gets busy because everybody tried to overtake. Look here,
John Martin. Good move. And again, yes, you see how dark it is. The brakes absolutely glowing bright red.
It's unbelievable, yeah. Like that. Here you see the visibility is just so low. Someone's going on the pit lane.
Red light up in front. That has got to be Anderlecht, surely. He's the man with the problem. So Craig Dolby's been shuffled to the back of the field.
The winner of the first race is now the last driver.
Yeah. So Sevilla leading then, with FC Porto in second place. Anderlecht are in the garage, and that has got to be the end of a tough weekend for Davide Rigon.
Undrivable, I go to the wall.
Undrivable, I go to the wall, he said. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
he's right. I thought we saw that before the pass. He looked like he could barely get it round the previous couple of corners, and in the end that leaves you a sitting duck, because as we talked about in race 1, Andy, there's no runoff area, there's no grass. If the car breaks away from you, it's straight into the barriers.
And you don't want to do that being the leader of the championship, having the next round in just 2 weeks time. There is not enough time to repair a big crash like mine yesterday, so I think it's safer to retire if you have a big problem. It looks like the brakes of Dolby are gluing all the way around, and perhaps he has some problems there.
Yes, I wonder whether the brake pedal is locking on. I mean, we're not used to seeing these cars running in such dark conditions. I mean, you can even see the stabs of flame coming out of the chimneys on the overrun as well, so it's very dark indeed. Again, massive fire there as he downshifts and the unburnt fuel goes through the exhaust and ignites itself. But it did certainly look as though Dolby's brakes were perhaps a little redder than some of the others. And of course, that'll last for only so long before they burn out completely if he has got sticking brakes.
I mean, the problem of the brakes is if you run without brakes on a street track, let's say if you push a pedal and there is nothing there, I mean, the shunt is just, I can't explain it, it's just horrible. And it happened to me last year in 2 years ago in GB2 in Nürburgring, that one of the carbon brakes exploded, and it was really, really bad.
Well, down in the pits with Anderlecht's Davide Rigon is Abby Griffiths. Abby, what do you know?
Davide, how this weekend has not gone well for you at all. How do you think this can affect your championship performance going into Navarra?
We had problem in the grip, and
Have decided to speak to him at the noisiest time, but we'll try and get an answer from him. So, Davide, just to tell us again, this weekend has not gone your way.
we just have some problem with the grip today. This morning we had problem with the gear. Some problem. I don't know why, what happens, but okay, there was no point in this race. Fortunately, it was going like this. We'll see now from Navarra. But I think it was just problem for the street circuit, not nothing bad. We just have difficult to warm up the tire. It's just that our problem today. But we will see in Navarra. We are ready.
Well, the onboard view there, chronic understeer. He's turning the wheel really tightly, and then he was on the dirty side of the track, and so there was just no grip. But it seems, Andy Suchek, no grip from the front end of that car at all, and you just can't survive here with that.
Yes, and sometimes, I mean, I had a problem with my tires, also on Friday practice, that, you know, I didn't feel the grip of the tires really, and it seems like he has the same problem. For some reason, he doesn't feel the grip that he should feel, and it's really uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable situation. It's really dark here.
It is incredibly dark. In fact, I noticed there was coming down into corner 1, you could see the reflection
of
on the wall of the heat from this. I mean, that's just, I don't think I've ever seen that before. The street races they have in Formula 1, they're brightly lit. I mean, here, there's no lighting around the track, so we're going to have to hope that the elements, it doesn't get too cloudy. Sevilla versus Porto. This is our lead battle. Roma right there as well, and these guys going very quickly. It's the front 4 cars really, all doing 1 minute 7 second laps. Olympiacos, we saw the leaders coming up towards, so having started from the pit lane, Ben Hanley presumably still with problems. But at the moment, Sevilla and Porto, with Roma just kind of nearly close enough, Andy, but frustratingly not quite able to stay with them. I know, every time you see that shot.
It's so scary. What I can see is that Liverpool is again in 8th position. It means that if he finishes around there, we see the overtaking of that's Pereira with, yeah, I think it was John Martin trying to get around Pereira. Yeah, Girondis, no, he didn't. No, I was saying that Liverpool is right there. I mean, he's 8th, and with his 3rd position in the first race, I'm pretty sure he would be in the final.
Yeah, that looks good for him as well. Olympiacos are out then. Ben Hanley was chatting to him just before the start, and they were investigating the replacement parts they'd fitted to the gearbox. Clearly not doing the job that they intended. And again, really no point fighting a car that doesn't want to be on this track. It's just going to end in a very expensive mess. Up in the curbs there, Atletico with Galatasaray. This is 4th, 5th and 6th. Milan there. PSV in 7th. Liverpool in 8th place. Then Sporting Club de Portugal and Olympique Lyonnais. And behind them, Beijing, Girondins and Spurs. So Tottenham, race 1 winners, 13th at the moment, need to find something big. Well, Ben Hanley is in the Olympiacos garage. Let's get down to Abby and find out exactly what's gone on.
So Ben, it was more mechanical problems for you. You know the car's going to be able to be fixed before Navarra, but how is psychologically your mind going to be on winning this championship because you're still in the fight?
Yeah, it's a very disappointing weekend for us. We had a bit of an unfortunate quali with a red flag which stopped us from doing a good time. We start from the back and had a problem with the gearbox in the race. We thought it was just a sensor because we didn't have time to open the gearbox fully and check everything. We changed the sensor and it solved the downshifting problem, but I still got an upshift problem, so it's a shame. But
well, Olympiacos go to Navarra just 12 points off the lead, and Roma flirting with the walls. Is it my imagination, Andy Souček? Is he getting very close?
He's getting close, but everybody else is getting close as well. As we can see, the revs in the steering wheel flashing here. That's amazing. I mean, this corner is just difficult. And he runs a very short gear. He's on the limiter all the time in the straight line. I could hear yesterday. Probably they didn't even change from 5th to 6th gear. I think they're running the same 6 as they're running the 5th, which is happening.
Yeah, the car sitting on the rev limiter doesn't help when you're trying to overtake as well. You need the push to pass to get more revs, but it's up against the hard against the limiter anyway.
So if you hit the push to pass, you get 1,000 revs more, so it means that you could be able to extend a bit this moment of the engine, but still I think they're running too short to get on push to pass and be able to overtake a power. So I don't know. They are the only team who is doing it, but effectively they're running 1st and 3rd. I mean, Emilio is doing a good job for sure.
It's looking a little windier out there. I wonder if the weather is about to change. Liverpool looking strong behind them, PSV. Spurs very conservative, or perhaps in trouble, still 13th and last, and that's got to mean trouble making the super final. And we hear that there are drops of rain in the air. Now, you could feel the moisture in the car. Watch how fierce the braking is. Yeah, the braking really very hard there at the end of the straight. Umbrellas are up. And fingers in the ears, because these cars make an awful lot of noise. They get right inside your inner ear, don't they? There's something about the frequency of the V12's exhaust note that really drills right into you.
It's pretty scary to run on this track with these conditions on wet. I hope the engineers have advised the drivers that it's running a little bit, because it's really dangerous now.
Yeah.
Every braking, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know how wet it is, and you can easily run wide and crash into the wall.
And of course, the drama being the leader is you're the first man to find out that the corner is wetter than the speed you've allowed.
We go long, okay?
Absolutely. You're the first driver to kiss the wall, probably, because you're the only one who can see how wet it is.
And of course, Alvaro wants to push so that if there is a mistake from Sevilla, he's right there to capitalise. The problem is on half this lap, if there's a mistake from Sevilla, he's in the accident.
Emilio was saying to him, because I speak Spanish, that Alvaro did a mistake, that he's pulling a bit of away, and that he just needs to keep being constant. It's all about that. He's doing a great race.
He is doing a very good job. A lot of the cars seeming, again to my eyes, to be picking up just a little more understeer. They're having to start the turns a little earlier as the cars sort of running out of grip. We're getting relatively close to the pit stop window. So again, do you think there's going to be early stops as we saw in race 1?
Depending on which tires you start in the race, if you start on new tires, you want to go a bit longer. I mean, the lap times are now quite equal, very stable, not very quick, I would say. So I believe most of the people. That was a big moment from Giacomo.
Yeah. Giacomo, and that's where your heart rate suddenly goes from 160 to 220 right there. And that's just ours.
Look at the steering wheel. I mean, he doesn't have a straight steering wheel for some reason. He had the crash with Atletico de Madrid, and perhaps they didn't have time to really put it in the patch and get it measured perfectly well. And he's driving on the straight line with a turned steering wheel, which is not very comfortable.
No, it looks like a NASCAR with some stagger built
exactly.
into it, which is not what you
he
need.
has more camber on one of the tires, which is
well,
not the case.
and that's again part of the problem when you have to repair a car for a second race, is that the handling may not be right there. Ooh, Beijing making a fierce pass there. John Martin down the inside of Olympique Lyonnais, holding on. In fact, he was Lyonnais trying to chase him. trying to pass him, and John Martin holding on to that inside line. He's in 10th place. Now FC Porto and Sevilla battling for the lead. They were 0.8 of a second away from each other at the line. Looks like that gap's not extending. Porto is getting closer. Well, in our commentary position, it's nice and dry. What's the weather like down in the pit lane, Abby?
And with rain, but it's definitely spitting. There's lots of worried-looking faces of team managers and parents. Lots of hands held up behind the pit wall to see how heavy it is raining. I can confirm it looks so dark here. It looks very ominous, but it's not pouring down yet. But obviously, everyone quite concerned about how slippery and dangerous it's going to make it.
Well, that's our high-tech weather detector. We've got a girl there with her hand out in the rain. Andy, when you're on a normal racetrack and you've got a little bit of leeway with runoff areas, a hot, slick tyre will survive from some sprinkles of rain and still give you good grip.
Yeah.
But here, where there's nothing to play to, you know, no runoff area at all, if you start feeling drops of water on the visor, seeing them on the visor, your immediate reaction is to go in and get a wet tyre, is it?
Yeah, but I tell you the truth, I don't think that they know that it's raining, because when you're running so quickly, the drops in your visor disappear straight away because of the speed. It's a single-seater, so all the air comes into your face and they disappear. So basically, I think they don't know if it's raining or not until they go to a braking, they see they lost control, and they think, oh, something is going on here, or if they get the instructions from the pit lane.
Well, the pit lane window is open now, but at the moment, don't necessarily... Oh, Sevilla lose the lead. They have spun it away. Now then,
that seems to be quite wet.
Okay, and here is Roma coming in. Look at those brakes, my goodness me. That is like you've just taken it out of a furnace. You could see the sparks coming off it. Now again, you know, you're used to seeing that with red hot steel when you're doing metalworking, but with carbon, not seen that before in a pit stop. Let's have a look here at Craig Dolby's as well. My goodness.
Look at that. This is like Le Mans. I mean, you can see how hot everything is on the car, you know. Whereas usually if there is a lot of light, you cannot really see it with your eyes. You can only measure it.
Wow, fantastic stuff. Nobody going for wet weather tyres, but Sevilla spinning away the lead, and that looked to be down at corner one, so that may just have been an attack from FC Porto, and maybe a little late on the brakes from Sevilla, a little offline. This now is the battle with PSV, Sporting and Beijing. Again, when he comes in, the brakes are just, I mean, to say red hot doesn't quite cover it, does it? Amazing.
It's like a film.
It really is. Exactly, that's exactly what it is. It's like a Hollywood special effect. You'd see that in a movie with Sly Stallone. You go, it's never like that, okay? It is like that sometimes.
It gets very, I think the first corner is just so slippery.
It is. I wonder if there's a little bit of fluid down, or whether it's, oh, and again, a little really twitchy going in there. Who's this? Olympique Lyonnais. Coming for the mechanics.
Now the pit stops are a lot slower because they don't want to get even close to the distance, but they see how hot they are.
2,000 degrees. That's like trying to fit a tyre to an open furnace, and Sevilla again in trouble. Now, that was Atletico. You're right. I'm sorry. Yes, it was.
But it seems to be slippery now, and I'm sure that all the drivers realize that there are drops of water in the track, and that's really not a good. Look, 157 Liverpool under these conditions. I mean, this guy is just so quick this weekend.
He really is. He's finding grip where nobody else can. Now he's up behind Milan. So our race leader.
Ooh, Alvarez is dropping a lot of time. He's running 1:08. This corner seems to be quite wet. He doesn't want to do a mistake.
Yeah, it's looking quite wet now. It's looking quite wet.
It's looking quite wet, he's saying.
So now
There we go. One more lap. Not yet. One more lap. We have time yet.
okay, now of course they need the tyres in the tyre heaters. You put on a cold wet weather tyre, you might as well stay on a slick, because there'll be no grip there, will there? So are they going to gamble and try and go?
The slick will still work when it's like this. The lap time hasn't gone slow enough yet.
That's great when you're on the pit wall. It's a little bit difficult to balance that when you're in the cockpit.
Of course. I mean, they are thinking, should we now put the rain tires, because everybody else has stopped, or some of the people have stopped, and they have obviously put slicks on. If they put the wet tires now, they could be risking the rest of the race, or they could be on the right position.
Well, the times are dropping. Nobody's in
you
the
will see
105s or 106s.
I think
They're in
now
7s and 8s.
now they're going to be around the 10s or 11s.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
This is going to be survival, and with only 5 minutes to go, if you change onto wets now, you're not going to win the race unless there is an absolute cloudburst, and that doesn't look likely.
Yeah, but now the thing is, how much do you push?
Well,
You know?
PSV's Bamber is pushing hard. He's right up behind Milan.
Look at that. Now it's wet. Now it's wet on the straight line, really.
Okay, well, we're still not seeing spray. You can't see the tracks that the cars are leaving either, and Bamber around the outside. He loves this slippery stuff. Think back to last weekend in Ordos, all the sand in the super final, wheel to wheel. Liverpool are in. They've made their choice as well. They've cast their die. Bamber will go as long as he can. 1:12, 1:18 for Atletico Madrid in
Look
second.
at that. That was Sevilla.
Well, that is the first turn runoff area.
That was good, huh?
Yeah. He's been watching Jean Alesi. He's learned how to do this. That was last lap when he went off and rejoined behind Liverpool. So Anderlecht are out, Olympiacos are out, Spurs have stopped, Girondins have stopped, Lyonnais, Galatasaray, Liverpool have stopped, and so have Roma. So half the field have made their pit stop, the other half have got 4 minutes 40 in which to do it. There is Sevilla with Beijing right behind. That is now the battle for 5th and 6th positions. Of course, they'll lose some of those places when they make their own pit stops. It'll shuffle around again, but there may yet be some changes. PSV really attacking hard, now going around the outside of Atletico. And that's a good move again. Earl Bamber, that's 2 places in 2 laps into corner 1. He's really starting to come alive now.
Yeah. It seems like he likes these conditions. Some of the drivers are really dropping a lot of time. Now it seems to be a bit more equal. Last lap was 1:14 for Atletico Madrid. The lap before was at 1:18. So it looks like, they're finding their way around the track, but it's again, it's a risk. How much can you push? What Earl Bamber did now is certainly quite risky. To say let's break 5 meters later and see if the car holds it, but if it doesn't, you go straight and you lose your race. So well, he did it, and it was okay.
Well, I tell you a secret about last weekend and this. Earl most recently has been doing ice driving courses for Audi's customers in New Zealand, so he's had quite a lot of slippery surface experience recently. The sand didn't put him off last weekend in Ordos in the super final or in race 1, and Alvaro is into the pit. Girondins continue. And that's not a great way to retire, is it?
He was quite safe, actually, because he broke a bit. Oh, they were not ready with the tires. Can you believe that?
Well, is it a late call now? What have they got? Are those slicks? No, they're wets. Okay, they are casting their die on wet tyres. Now, it has got to rain for that to work. What lap times are we at? We're 14s and 15s. We're 4 or 5 seconds slower than when they said stay out.
You have to be 10 seconds at least to put some rain tires. That's more or less a rule.
Well, the guys on slicks are doing 17s, 19s, 20s. Roma now, or is it Milan that lead? Milan leading, and Roma and Porto come out behind.
Yeah.
Atletico are in. He's all over the place. That was a really random scrabble into the pit lane. So Atletico go with wets. Porto go with wets.
I think everybody now who pitted, I mean, everybody waited for the pit window to close more or less to decide if it's worth to put some wets on or not. The first one was Alvaro, and we'll see which lap times he does compared to the guys who are running slicks. But all the teams were not prepared with the rain tires, and you can see that it takes ages to change them.
Well, Sporting go off on their wets. Nobody's got any experience of this track in the rain, of course, and that means that any oil or any rubber that's been laid down will be a real problem. There's Olympique Lyonnais, and you saw the puff of smoke there, the tyre locking up at really quite pedestrian speed. He's still on slicks. Dolby's going for wets. Okay, so now everybody who's already changed making a second pit stop, and this is about survival. This is Alvaro right up behind Roma, who is on slicks. And now it looks properly wet there, doesn't it? This is like a Spa Monaco race, and Roma gone into the pit lane.
That's really dangerous. I mean, they are running with a dry setup.
Yeah.
Here you have Pereira, who was pitted already, and
he's gone back again. And Porto will have the run on him, and into the pits as well has gone PSV. So Roma making a second stop. Tottenham and Girondin have made a second stop. Milan in for their second stop. But for PSV, could they have taken wets at just the right time? Porto and PSV may well be right at the top of the pile. There's Bamba, he's just come back out of the pit lane. Milan rejoining. Roma going to cut off Beijing. John Martin is still on slick tyres.
I think he put some wets as well.
Let's have a look. Oh yes, you're right, yeah, absolutely right. So is there anyone remaining on slicks?
I hope not.
No, I hope not either. Now, of course, if it all dries out, then suddenly we're going to see who's great at tyre management, because we've still got a quarter of an hour to go. They should, even if it dries out properly, they should just about hold out, because it is fairly slippery at the moment.
I tell you, this is incredibly slippery. We left some rubber down on the track. Yeah, everybody seems to wet. We left some rubber on the track. Look at everybody there going wide.
They're going off. That's Beijing, that's Porto as well. Has he lost a wing? Roma have spun.
Well, it's difficult to turn around there, you know, what can you do?
Yeah, going to have to find reverse. And, spin it round backwards.
Don't do that.
And Beijing as well.
I would bring out the safety car,
So he gets going. So again, recalibrating all your braking points. And you're doing this corner by corner, lap by lap, and the only way you know if you've got it right is if you don't spin. That's kind of a hard school, isn't it?
Well, imagine, look at Porto. Football Club Porto, he's first on the... Oh, but Pereira just overtook him. Is Pereira down? Oh, no, Alvaro, I can't believe it.
And that's just before the bridge, and that's really dangerous. Roma just coming round behind, or was that PSV? That's PSV squeezed through.
At the end, Bamba is going to score another win.
Do you know, I'm not even saying that, but this is going to have to be a safety car situation, I'm sure.
Red
flags are
Yeah.
out. Okay, so with, 14 minutes remaining, Roma are stuck. Gilles Juice just cannot find that reverse. Porto, whether he's got an engine or not, remains to be seen.
Well, the good thing
Cars
is
everywhere.
now on the red flag, it depends on how you cross the line the lap before. It
Are we
means that
leading the
now
race currently or not?
the thing that we have on screen, which is Porto, PSV, are
That's
doing
the red
AC
flag,
Milan,
and
that's
you're
going to be
leading the race.
the starting grid for the next, if they restart the race, isn't it?
If they restart the race. If they
75%
don't and they look at
lap
a result, you may find that the person that brings out the red flag is excluded. So we'll wait and see exactly
There are
what the
many-
stewards
That's the
are telling us.
result. Stop in the pit lane.
Check it
Stop in the pit lane. That's the result.
Was that pit lane or continue round?
Well, the team are telling him pit lane, and he didn't hear the message. He said, "Is that pit lane
Do I
or head
stop on
round?"
the line or on the in the pit lane?
Come on, guys, talk to him. Talk to him.
Okay, box.
Well, we are being told that the race will
I
not
didn't
be
repeat.
restarted. However, PSV Eindhoven or FC Porto, Milan are going to be on the podium somewhere, but the cars that are running are stopping at
Do we
the
switch up
starting
or
grid,
not?
and that's normal procedure, isn't it?
Oh,
That was what
stay
would
there,
happen
the
in
guys are
GP2
coming
or
to you.
Formula One. And the car at the front
Turn off
is
the
the red
car.
and white of PSV. Are we seeing another fairy tale weekend?
Hey, turn around. Just wait there. We're not quite 75% of race, so you did the right thing. Stay there.
Well, the team assuring him he's done the right thing. He wants to know what's going on, same as everyone else. Well, race has been stopped. John Martin back in the garage. Now, this is where, Andy, you need a team manager who knows the regulations inside out and knows exactly what happens in any of these freaky situations.
Yeah, I mean, the regulations are pretty straightforward. If there is a red flag, you need to stop on the start-finish line and just wait. If there is a restart, then you restart. If not, it's the end of the race. I mean, as I say, it counts. The lap before will count. It means that Alvaro will be probably winning the race if they stop it, because Alvaro is not the cause of the red flag. He's one of them, but we had another 2 or 3 cars in the middle of the track.
But they didn't bring out the red flag when Gilles Juice was off.
Yeah,
they only brought it out when Alvaro came off. So yes, that's the final. It's a tough way to lose a race, but if the race had continued, he lost the race anyway. So, well,
Hopefully doesn't.
The race is under red flag situation, and lots of scrabbling.
You saw that Beijing was the one who kicked Roma out of the race, so
Absolutely.
it was not a mistake.
And behind Sevilla drifting out wide, and Galatasaray coming in there as well. Okay, well, the person closest to what might be some information, I think, is our pit reporter, Abby Griffiths. Abby, we've got a lot of question marks here. Can you clear a few up?
Well, I'm going to hope so. We're hoping naturally Anthony can. He actually looks after both Porto and PSV. So, Anthony, what is your view of this situation? What will be the result?
At the moment is, depending on what they decide, that the PSV car should start on pole or should win this race and obviously then go through to the super final. Porto should, in theory, go through on points as well, but we have to see how they judge it at the finish to see which car actually finished where.
Do you think Porto, though, will be excluded if he calls the red flag?
No, I don't think so. I think he's still entitled to go through to the super final on a points basis.
Well, that's, again, one that the stewards are going to have to sort out, Andy, and, you know, they have to think fast. We've got a little bit of time in hand before we should be expecting to start the super final, but there is potentially our winner. He was on the podium in race 1 for Porto last time out, and he looks as though he may be in a position to win this. Now hearing that there will be a restart for a further 5 minutes.
Well, PSV Eindhoven, and in this case Earl Bamber, is a very consistent driver, and he always finishes the races, doesn't matter where, and at the end he always finds himself on the top 5. And I think that's very clever in this championship, because you have many people spinning around, having crashes, doing mistakes, and you know, he did nothing special in this race, just kept the car on track, and there he is. Yeah,
absolutely. So now then, we're going to restart. It'll be a 5-minute race, which effectively probably means 4 laps. They might... No, they won't get a 5th one in, will they? So 4 laps. So now Earl is sitting there, lots of confusion. Now his pulse will be coming back down to normal. Anthony Reid, his team boss, will go and talk to him and say, OK, you're going to be leading the restart. And effectively now, Andy, what has he got to do? He's just got to do more of the same and make sure nobody gets by him from any silly mistakes.
Well, I think the most important thing is to stay on track. I think Earl knows what he has to do. He has proved that he's a mature driver, although he's very young. And, you know, he returned just, I would say, by mistake to the series, because he was supposed to be here where I am. And there he is, leading another race after winning a super final in Ordo. So I think it's important to keep your head down and just try to finish that race.
Well, Porto are being rescued and restarted. Abby Griffiths is down in the pit lane. Let's catch up with Robert Dornbos.
Now, Robert, as a driver, how do you handle all of this drama that's going on?
Well, it's a lot of fun actually as a driver. I mean, it's risky obviously on a street course. It's very slippery, extra because you have all the white lines and the extra paint jobs. But yeah, unfortunately I'm not there, and it's a good race to watch, I think, for the fans.
And now they've got 5 minutes in this grid formation to try and now win the race. How would you play it if you were starting at the front like Earl Bamber is?
Well, it's very important to have good communication with the team, knowing what tire you have, knowing what the car does. Maybe you can change something on the car, I'm not sure. Everybody's checking the rule books now, so it's not unusual circumstances. It's very special.
I'll let you get back in the dry.
He's right about one thing. It is going to be a very interesting race for the fans. If the fans here in Beijing haven't seen an awful lot of motor racing, they've learnt a lot of lessons already today, haven't they? I'm not quite sure what the circuit commentator's making of it either, because there's all sorts for him to get his head around. First time watching Super League Formula. Well, the cars are on the grid, tyre warmers are on, but it should be a parc fermé, which means you're not allowed to do anything to the car. So there won't be any refueling, no changing of tyres or anything else. And Porto now this is a question. They're being pushed back behind the wall, but Beijing, when they were restarted from a similar situation, when John Martin retired, he was handed a penalty because it was deemed that he should have continued racing. So Porto should be in a situation where they should be push-started and sent back to the grid. Yeah, now then, so let's take a look at what's been happening right from the very beginning of this topsy-turvy race. Tell you what, China has produced so many excitements so far. Anderlecht led early on, great jump away from 4th on the grid for FC Porto. Right from the beginning, it looked as though Alvaro Parent was on the attack. And a great early pass from Sevilla to take the lead as Anderlecht struggled. Through went Porto, up to 2nd within a couple of laps at the start. Anderlecht would head into retirement. End of the day for Davide Rigon. Problems with grip, not what you want on a street circuit. 2-horse race then, Sevilla versus Porto. Sevilla with the steering wheel still all at an angle after that first race incident. And then the turnaround point, rain arriving. Contact as Beijing bounce up the order inside Olympique Lyonnais, moving up in towards a top half-dozen position. And the rain finally caught out Sevilla, spinning away in the escape road as Porto took the lead of the race. Well, after a number of cars had already stopped for slicks, it was clear that wet weather tyres were what was required, and everybody now on wets as the rain continued. Beijing, more contact, this time getting by Roma. And Porto trying to fight back into the lead of the race. Girondin in front, over the curbs, too much power, and spinning it away. Well, that was the final straw for the stewards. The race was red flagged for safety reasons. They are now on the grid, getting ready to restart. Well, the cars are on the grid, as you can see now. Andy, tyre warmers on, and this is one of the things that drivers hate, is not quite being able to
know what's going
get
on.
yourself ready. Yes, we're not quite sure exactly when the race will restart. Anthony Reid there down at the front of the field, the ATEC Reid team boss. And it, if you know it's 5 minutes, if you know it's 25 minutes, you can just get
relax
yourself
and
into a
prepare.
frame of mind. Exactly.
Well, but the biggest problem is you can see the tire warmers on the tires, but they're not on. They're not connected.
Yes, they're not
I mean,
heating.
They're not heating, and even Atletico Madrid, you can see they're not even putting them, because wherefore, if they're not connected, there is no compressor to warm them up, and to have cold tires on the rain with it's very, very dangerous.
It's looked like putting toast back into a switched-off toaster. It's not going to stay warm. Abby is down with Anderlecht's Davide Rigon. What does he know, Abs?
Davide, we've heard from your teammate, Robert Dornbos. The race is going to start again in 5 minutes. Now they're going out. We can feel the rain here, so they've got their wet tyres on. How would you approach this as a driver?
For me, I would like to start now because with rain normally I'm fast. So, but in this condition, the track is very, very slippery. So it's important not to make a mistake, but brake early and have a big attention, because if you mistake, you go straight to the wall. So it's very, very dangerous now, the track. We will see. It would be nice to be there, but I'm here. We will see.
Well, Andy Soucek, you're not the only one watching this race who wants to be there, clearly. We've just seen Beijing restarted. We've also just seen FC Porto restarted, but they will be towards the tail of the restart. We will get going now, we're here in 4 minutes. So it'll look down inside Earl Bamber's cockpit. Not sure what the mechanic is having a hunt for.
Probably they're changing the brake balance. The only thing you can do right now is to go backwards on the brake balance, is what you usually do for the rain. Is the only thing you can do.
So we can call it down behind
Porto is just going to take the lead, apparently.
Okay.
Very long RPM. And let's try getting cool.
Well, that's an interesting wrinkle there. Now, usually, as we talked about before, if a race is red flagged during a lap, you go back to the previous completed lap as either the finishing order or the restarting order. And before he spun away the lead and brought out the red flags, Alvaro Parent was our leader. Does seem a little unfair that he gets a second bite at the cherry. On the other hand, he obviously thinks it's a very good idea indeed. Well, now, there you can see Anthony Reid, the team boss, leaning over to have a chat to him. And, of course, now for ATEC Reid, their cars first and second. The only thing that can not happen is that they collide with each other sometime in the remaining 5 minutes. And obviously, both men were quick, both men had plenty of racing ability in the rain. It's just who can handle it best. 3 minutes till they restart, and presumably they will follow the safety car round for a single lap and then be released. Well, this is why the red flag came out. Alvaro Parent just looping around there again, Andy, which really quite slow speed. It's just too much horsepower for the road, really.
Well, the problem is Pereira overtook him. I think Pereira was 1 lap down, but for some reason Alvaro didn't know that, and he took the curb here, went on power. Don't think he went too hard on power. It's just that over the curb, which is made of rubber, is just so slippery.
So getting ready to restart the race then. The pit lane is closed. 2 minutes to restart. And Alvaro Parent with a tinted visor on. Maybe that's his engineer. Maybe asking if he can have a clear visor. That seems to me that in 2 minutes you're not going to get much time to do that. Maybe just a clean is all it's going to get.
No, the visor he's using, I mean, I've got the same brand of helmet, Stilo. That's, let's say, the brightest visor. Oh, look at Beijing's car.
Yeah. Well, he's got a relatively clear visor on, yellow rain visor, of course. Karting, everybody in karting, very familiar with those. But the nose showing signs of several contacts with other gearboxes.
It does.
So a minute to go, and again, look at the safety car. This is like the RAC Rally or something in November, you know, a foggy day with the lights showing through the mist. This is early October. This is an awesome day in the heart of Beijing. So it's been very muggy all day, a lot of mist, and now the rain has come. Now, it doesn't seem to be raining that heavily, so they've all got fresh, wet tyres on. They've only done a couple of laps, so the grip should be reasonable, but they've got to get some heat into those tyres. As you said, the tyre temperatures will be plummeting. Yeah. The track's not exactly hot. It's not like it's Malaysia or somewhere where it's 40 degrees. I mean, it's barely 20 degrees, so they are going to feel like wood when you start off on them.
Totally agree. I mean, it's going to be quite difficult to start the race. I mean, you have 5 minutes. Everybody's going to take it easy, hopefully. And Avro, who is starting on pole, is just going to lead the pack. He's going to set up his rhythm, and hopefully everybody's going to follow. I just, as I said, I just hope that everybody goes on a queue, because if someone tries to overtake, he can just lock the tires and try to, you know, and he can probably hit someone else. And there are not many cars left on track.
No, not many. FC Porto will lead the field from PSV Eindhoven. Milan will start third, Galatasaray behind them. Then Sevilla and Beijing. Sevilla from the front of the field, of course. Beijing coming up from the back. Behind them, bit of reshuffling needed. Atletico, Roma, Liverpool, Sporting. And that means that Spurs will start right at the tail of the field. Not quite, in fact, because Olympique Lyonnais and Girondins de Bordeaux will start behind them as well. So we will get ready to go then. Alvaro Parent has his engine fired. The grid is being cleared. Last few of the starters being taken away, and the tyre blankets as well.
You have all type of conditions now. It's foggy, it's a street track, the tires are cold, the car is still quite fueled. You don't know where the braking points are. It's all new for you. It's raining. I mean, really, for the show, there is nothing better than this kind of conditions.
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, this is a rehearsal for the super final. 6 cars for 5 laps. So now we've got 11 cars, 12 cars for 5 laps. So it's a bit more than the super final. In fact, we've got 13 still running. If Roma have been recovered, we didn't see that they had. But on the other hand, there didn't seem to be much damage. So hopefully, Roma have been pushed out, and we will have 13 of our original 15 starters for this race still running. 1 safety car lap, and then 5 minutes on the clock already ticking away. So they'll be lucky to get 3 laps out of this. So it'll take them the better part of 2.5, 3 minutes to go around behind the safety car. Not sure the safety car driver wants to push the Scirocco that hard in these conditions either. And he's got lights and a set of wipers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm sure he's pretty cautious. I think it's more dangerous to drive a Superleague now than driving the Scirocco on this type of condition, because you have so much power, so much torque. You get on the power and you're immediately wheel spinning the tires. So it's you know, hitting the curbs now is going to be a mistake, because they're made of rubber. They have rubber because we were using them during the whole weekend, and you could see Alvaro Parente, you know, just touching it, kissing it, and he was off. Safety car lights off.
Safety car lights are off, and of course they're all desperately trying to get some heat into the brakes, some heat into the tyres, so they can survive the first corner. This is a view from second place PSV.
Well, a view is
okay, the race
something
will be over 5 minutes, copy, 5 minutes.
You do not see much at all. Very wet here.
Well, all the marks in the track, you know, all the white paintings, very, very slippery.
Yeah. Anything that's not grey is strictly to be avoided at all costs.
Circumstances,
yeah, no question. So they're getting ready to restart this then, and for Alvaro Parente, every moment now that he spends building up whatever temperature he can into those tyres and into those brakes is going to pay dividends as he gets to the first corner. Green flag, here we go, we are racing once more. 5 minutes starting with a safety car. PSV struggling for grip. He's already gone defensive on the inside. Who's on push to pass? Nobody, it seems, at the moment. Milan trying to go around the outside. It's like a slow bicycle race, isn't it? I think John Martin made a good move. He get in front of Sevilla. No, he didn't. Sevilla's right with Galatasaray and Milan. It looks like Porto and PSV are going to make a race of this. Stay off the curbs, boys. 4 minutes 38. It was 5 minutes from the moment they crossed the line. And Porto one push to pass down on PSV. Oh, and that's Galatasaray. Sevilla just survived. Now, if Galatasaray can spin turn that, we won't need... Come on, Giacomo. Half the job done, I'm afraid. That's even worse now than before. And PSV attacking hard. All the gods are conspiring to put FC Porto onto the top step of the podium here.
Could be a red flag again, huh?
I think we might well, unless that car has moved fast and there are no marshals there to run across the track. They've got about a minute to get it moved.
Okay,
Into the green flag zone. Porto, PSV, Milan. And again, Porto defensive, just wide. Here comes PSV. He's got a really good one, and he's got to get on the push to pass now. Surely doesn't have the traction though. Too much wheel spin into proper wet weather conditions down the straight. Hearing him lifting for the chicane because that's just a huge accident waiting to happen in these conditions, Andy.
What a crazy race. I mean, I'm looking at it thinking, wow, I'm quite happy to be out of it. I mean, I would love to be racing, but I don't know, under these conditions, you know, it's obviously it's a gamble.
It is a huge gamble, and that's what wet weather and street circuits bring. Galatasaray, they're still stranded in the middle of the track.
Exit turn 5, before the bridge. Car in the track, middle of the track.
Well, now vigorously wave yellow flags. They've got about 100 metres to try and fix a view of the car and get through. See the wheel spin there from Sevilla off the corner. These cars are struggling to go forwards in any way. Galatasaray, poor Giacomo Ricci is just stranded there in the middle of the track. Looks like he's lost the engine as well, Andy, so there's little hope of him being able to move, or he'd have gone by now.
Hey, what a race. Imagine being a driver, seeing just, you know, with all these conditions and just a car in the middle of the track, in the narrowest place of it, in the middle of it. I mean, it's just unreal.
Yeah, it's only 2 cars wide, really, isn't it? And there's 1 car plumb in the middle, so it is a narrow gap.
And Bamber is giving Alvaro quite a hard time, huh?
Yes, he is. Now Milan, and that's Galatasaray looping it round in the first place.
Oh, Sevilla. Look, this is Sevilla on board. You can see he spins. He goes out. When he hits the curb, he gets on power. Look at that. I mean, that was really, really close.
That's years of reflexes, and you're absolutely right. Bamber wants to win this. He thinks he's got a better car, and again, he's all over Porto. Does he get the traction? Look at them fishtailing around as the wheels spin furiously.
Yeah, you have to upshift early. You have to go to second, third, fourth as quick as you can, because otherwise you keep wheel spinning your tires. So it's a short shift, pretty much in all the corners.
And of course, he got there to the yellow flag zone in corners 2, 3, and 4, so immediately had to back out of it. He was hoping to get the move done first.
It's so tight there. If you look at the onboard, I mean, it's enough, just enough to pass 1 car.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, it's a yellow flag zone anyway, but it doesn't make the gap any wider.
I think the race director is hoping that the race finishes as soon as possible, because, you know, it's difficult to judge, and I mean, this is actually a situation of a red flag. To have a car in the middle of the track is very dangerous under these circumstances. You don't see a lot. Look at the visibility on the back there. I mean, Marcos doesn't see the braking reference.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ridiculous.
Porto, PSV, Milan, that's your top 3. Sevilla in 4th, Beijing in 5th place. John Martin was so disappointed after race 1 to be starting at the back of the grid again, but he's done what all good drivers do, put it behind him, get on with the race and not worry about what happened beforehand. Bamber moving to one side there so he can see where turn 1 is, because that's so vital for survival.
Yeah, Marcos Martinez is attacking Yelmer Berman, Milan car.
Yeah. Again, PSV trying to have a run. This is going to be the last lap of the race. The checkered flag will be out next time round. So Porto might have this in the bag. Milan and Sevilla, again, in the no overtaking zone. On board with PSV's Earl Bamber. It looks like it's night time out there. It really does look like a winter rally. This is 1st and 2nd then. And the super final will be those half dozen cars at the moment. PSV, Spurs, Liverpool, Milan Girondin and Olympique Lyonnais. So at the moment, Porto will be out of it, and there's nothing he can do about it either unless somebody else fails to score. And that somebody else, to make a gap for him, would have to be PSV. So Earl, keep it on the island. chance to start at the front in the super final.
Just 2 corners to go.
Yeah. 2 corners to go, and then another 5 laps of this madness. You can see he is still champing at the bit to get by. He really, really wants to pass.
Look at that. I mean, wow, you can barely see.
They're going to need headlights, aren't they, for the super final? Here we go to the checkered flag then. It will be victory for Porto. So Porto claim victory, PSV in second, and Milan just hold on for third. Let's hope Sevilla gets stopped before the first corner. Otherwise, that's going to be another big shunt. Wow, Andy, there are some races you're pretty glad you're not in. That might just be one of them.
Absolutely, but I think for the people watching this race, it's incredibly emotional. And you don't see this kind of stuff in Formula 1 anymore. This is the kind of race that you really want to see as a spectator, and you know, as a driver is obviously not the best one, but it's very challenging at the same time. So I hope that everybody who has been watching it has had a lot of fun. I mean, I did have fun as well.
Absolutely, and we've still got the super final to go. Well, after Ordos, we thought, no, surely there can't be that much more drama left in the script writer's head, but apparently there is. So yeah, this super final. And Porto, our race 2 winners, will not be part of it, it would seem. PSV, however, will start from pole position. Now, last weekend, Earl Bamber won for Porto in the super final from 6th on the grid. Now he gets a chance to start for PSV from 1st on the grid. 2 weekends, 2 super finals.
That's good money.
Wow.
Anthony has to be pleased.
Absolutely. Well, he took a punt on Freddie Verbisch in the Liverpool car. He went out and won the super final in Portimao. He took a chance on Earl Bamber in the Porto car. He went out and won the super final in Ordos. And now PSV, they're second in race 2 behind Porto, but they will lead the field in the super final. Milan complete the race 2 podium from Sevilla by, well, probably only just a couple of inches. Atletico in 5th, and John Martin up to 6th position in the Beijing car. Unfortunately, his race 1 result means that he is not going to be in the super final. That's a real shame for the team and for the fans as well. But not perhaps as breathless yet as the super final, but certainly no shortage of drama here. Well, for Anthony Reid there in the dark jacket, the ATEC Reid's team 1st and 2nd. Porto with a super final win last weekend, now a race 2 win. 2 different drivers, same team, same car.
What a crazy race. Imagine he starts, he pulls away on the, he's 4th on the grid, he overtakes, he's P2, he's starting battling for P1, the other one does a mistake, he's P1, and then he goes in, he has no tires ready, so the race had everything, and then he spins on the rain and he's still leading the race, and he finishes on top of it. I mean, it's if you think about it, it's pretty weird.
Well, he qualified on pole, didn't he? He should have been in the ideal position to win race 1. And then as soon as the lights changed, his car just died. The fuel pressure dropped. He didn't, he completed 1 lap at ultra slow speed. And then it comes back to him in the end. After all that drama, he still ends up winning race 2. Quite remarkable. And Earl Bamber, what we see, 7th, 8th in... 6th in race 1, 2nd in race 2. Well, let's get down to hear from our winning driver then. Alvaro Parent for Porto is with Abby Griffiths.
Alvaro, for me, for the commentators, for all the spectators, it was one of the most exciting races ever to watch. What was it like as a driver?
Well, crazy race, you know. Started to rain on the middle and we had a huge advantage, so complicated stuff. I got closed at one point in the race by a guy that I was doubling, so passing twice, and he closed the door, so had a bit of a moment there, but at the end we managed, you know, we managed to do a great job, so I'm very, very happy. Nice one, eh? Thank you. Let me just say one thing. Oh mãe, esta é para si. Chegou tarde, mas é para si. Beijinho.
Hold on, you've got to translate that. That's unfair.
No, that's all right. That's special.
Oh, special note that we don't get. Well done. It was brilliant to watch. You did, after the bad luck in the first race, because I know you were so excited about racing, you did have a bit of luck in your side on that one to go to the top of the grid after the red flag.
I was with almost a lap further already in first, you know, before the red flag, so not really. This morning was incredible. We didn't even start the race with another failure, so yeah, at least this one went well and we managed to win.
I'm going to find out what you said after the race though. Well, okay, now Earl Bamber, the fairy tale continues with you, sir. What a race. Anthony Reid there must have just been, I don't know, just probably couldn't breathe with you and Alvaro causing all that drama.
Yeah, no, maybe not. It was a brilliant race. We struggled at the start with the tyres, and I couldn't see anything. It's so dark, but then it started to rain and we were on fire, and we're really, really quick before the red flag, and unfortunately Alvaro made a mistake. And then strangely, out of the blue, he comes back into the front in the red flag. I don't understand this. You can't make a position and get an advantage by making mistakes. So it's a shame that he did this. But congratulations to him. He did a brilliant job in the wet conditions. And yeah, I can't wait. Hopefully we're in the super final, and let's see what we can do.
Not hopefully you're in the super final, you are, and you're starting for the top of the grid. You're on pole. You are the top point scorer of the weekend, Earl. It's just such great news for you.
Yeah, no, that's it's really good. I didn't know that we were pole position, so let's bring on the super final. We've got a good car in the wet weather conditions, so let's push and see what we can do.
Now, Earl, I'm going to ask you, as a driver, obviously these conditions just horrendous. Visibility-wise, it's so dark down here. We don't know whether the super final is going to happen because of the visibility. What is it like not being able to see anything going into these corners?
To be honest, I was just following the red light in front of me. That's all you have to do, and open up the visor and see what you can do. You have to have a good awareness. I'm looking up in the stands, looking for the TVs and stuff like that to find out where I'm going. It's really, really difficult. Yeah, you can't see.
Okay, well, let's hope the super final happens. Go and win some money if it does. Jelmer, now, you this whole weekend have been just really courageous and aggressive in your driving. You've been so close to the wall on so many occasions. What was that race like?
Well, actually, to be honest, I wasn't. I was trying to, I was really safe and just didn't make one mistake, just, cruising basically. Don't want to damage the car, because if we do so, then it's going to be tricky to get it ready for Navarra, and Navarra is eventually for the points, and that's where we have to score. So, but it's just great to still be on the podium. It's been a while, and hopefully we can do it again in Navarra.
Yeah, but tell me, when Galatasaray spun and he's in the middle of the track, as a driver, when you see that and it is so narrow, I mean, it must have been so frightening for him. What is it like for you?
Well, I was just in front of him, so I saw him spin in my mirror. And a little bit later, he was in the middle of the bridge. So it was a bit tricky, but yeah, I mean, when a car is stopped, it's not as bad, because then, if there's a gap, you can make it or not. But when a car is rolling, then it's when it's tricky. So.
It's great to see you on the podium. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Well, Jelmer Berman and Alvaro Parent, both winners in the Nürburgring. And Jelmer Berman, when he's not driving race cars, is also a skid school instructor, so he's not short on talent in the wet weather. Now, unfortunately for the fans who are sitting patiently in the grandstands, the track conditions have been deemed unsafe to run the super final, and unfortunately also for Earl Bamber, he would have had a great chance to lead that, because of course it would have been a single file start with him at the front. So just confirmation, there will be no super final, and they still have the prize money to award, so I'm assuming they will go to the top 3 points scorers, which should still mean that Earl Bamber and PSV Eindhoven will be deemed as the winners of the money. Tottenham was second, Liverpool third in points so far this weekend. It may well be that that is the way that it works. But before then, presentations for the top 3 in race 2. This is our then final race on the streets here. So Jelmer Berman for Milan, as he said, in the championship hunt. He's 5th. He's just 37 points off the lead with 100 to play for, so keeping everything safe. And for Earl Bamber, what a fortnight of adventure it's been for him, among perhaps everybody in the Super League family, as he ends up on the podium again here and top point scorer. Alvaro Parent then wins the race, spins, disaster from pole position in race 1, all sorts of action in race 2, and it is the Portuguese that takes the trophy as our race 2 winner. Well, there was an awful lot of anticipation about these first ever flyaway races for Super League Formula, and Andy Suchek, whatever anybody was anticipating, maybe going to see the Great Wall and the Forbidden City and all of that you think about with Beijing, when it came to the racing, nobody had any idea really what to expect, and even if they had had a wild guess, we would never have come up with what we've seen here in Beijing and last weekend in Ordos.
Never. I mean, I never expected to have such 2 crazy weeks in all the best ways. I mean, I had a lot of fun really, and everybody did as well.
Well, race one started in gloomy but dry conditions. Anderlecht leading away from the rolling start, but he was in trouble. Sevilla soon passing and Porto going through the open door as well. Anderlecht was set to retire, at least the car's in one piece. The championship leader moves on now to Navarra in Spain to try and defend his title. But that left somebody needing to win the race, and Sevilla's Marcos Martinez looked the man most likely. Alvaro Parent, though, had other ideas, and when the rain arrived, pressure put several drivers out of action. Beijing moving up the order, huge lockup for Martinez. He skated out of the lead and out of contention. Porto were in front, and John Martin making more contact on his way up the order on what was now a wet and greasy track. With everyone on wets, Girondin catching Porto, trying to lap him, and Alvaro Parent spun. That was the final straw. The red flags came out and the race was stopped. Parent was put back to the front of the queue for the restart ahead of PSV, and that's the way that they went out onto the streaming wet circuit, second time of asking. Galatasaray looping round, and Sevilla nearly following suit on the wet curbs as the Turkish club's car filled the road in front of him on the narrowest part of the track. Battles further back, the two French cars, Girondin and Olympique Lyonnais making contact, and try as he might, PSV couldn't catch Porto. It was victory for Porto in the wet streets of Beijing. Alvaro Parent coming out on top in race 2. But PSV's great result in races 1 and 2 means that they have scored more points than anyone else, and they would have headed the field at the super final. Well, Alvaro Parent claiming his second win of the season in very treacherous conditions. So, total points scored this weekend. PSV on top by 1 from Spurs. Liverpool and Milan tied in 3rd and 4th. Now, of course, this is not championship point scoring. These were just to decide how everybody would go through into the super final here, racing for the Beijing Cup. And Beijing ending up in the 6th position in that second race, bringing themselves up to 11th in the points. Team China, like Corinthians, Basel, Anderlecht, Flamengo and Galatasaray, really out of luck this weekend. Street circuits are always a bit of a lottery, and unfortunately, in any lottery, there's some winners and some losers. Well, the fans, whatever they were expecting, same as the rest of us, have certainly had their money's worth here. Cars, drama, excitement, the noise and the speed of the cars, and then throw in some uncertain weather, and Andy Soucek, really all bets are off there. It's survival of the fittest, and somehow they managed to even keep the cars going, and that sometimes baffles me that they're even able to stay on track in those conditions.
Yeah, as I said before, I mean, it is so difficult to drive on these conditions. I mean, you see quite a lot of rain, visibility is low, everything is just so difficult. I think it's a good decision just to say, look, why would we like to have a final where everybody can crash into each other and have a disaster for Navarra? You know, it was the first event here in Ordos, and I think it was good fun.
Well, Earl Bamber, we are being told, is going to be considered as the winner of the super final. He had most points, and with the super final not being run, that puts him on top of the pile. So hasn't been a bad trip to China for him at all. Won the super final on the road, perhaps the most chaotic and edge of the seats race that Superleague has ever seen a week ago in Ordos in Inner Mongolia. And now, well, he was a bit disappointed that Porto were put back in front of him to win the race overall in race 2.
Now he's been not so disappointed.
Not so disappointed, no.
I think they told him about the super final, and you know, to win him money and to win the race without having done it, it's quite funny.
Well, now Anthony Reid has an interesting sense of humour when it comes to drivers. I wonder exactly what he and Earl Bamber are going to try and decide in the next couple of weeks before Navarra, whether there are going to be teams that need a driver, and if there are, whether Anthony Reid is going to be running them. He's run him twice now, and the team have won €200,000. That's not a bad strike rate. And when they started with Frederik Vervisch in the Liverpool car, he went straight out, first race weekend, won the super final as well. So Anthony Reid's having a relatively good run of form, choosing drivers to go into his cars at the moment.
He chose me as well.
He chose you too, yeah.
We're on the podium. No, jokes apart. I think he took the right decision. I think Verbisch and Earl Bamber are now the revelation of this championship, and they're doing a great job. I would run them in the next race as well.
Well, I think Frederik Vervish, the deal was when he won the super final in Portimao, I think the deal was that he got to be in the car for the rest of the season. And as for Earl, well, it was all a surprise when we arrived. And in fact, when we came to the circuit in Ordos, people coming up to him saying, oh, you know, you've got to drive. No. And it took a full 24 hours before it transpired that, in fact, that was what was going to happen. So, yeah, the most remarkable fairy tale story. 2 Superpole wins in consecutive races. Well, nobody's done that this year. It'll take me a while, I'm afraid, to find out whether anybody's done that this season. But it does mean, unfortunately, the weather has beaten us. There is no super final here on the streets of Beijing. The crowd out there in the rain, and they can probably understand why as well. They've already seen firsthand from close quarters in the grandstands just how hard the cars are to drive. And on the camera pictures, we see them sliding around, but you don't get the noise of the cars constantly on the rev limiter as the wheels are spinning up. You know, when you're trackside, these things just feel much more physical. They make the air vibrate, and you can really see what hard work they are.
Yeah, a lot of adrenaline. No, but what I'm thinking is Earl Bamber was in my position for the last year, more or less, of a Super League formula, and now he went on to racing, and he has won 2 super finals. So hopefully, after my appearance here at the TV, I should be winning Navarra.
Absolutely, he didn't even need to sit with me, and I gave him the magic touch. Well, you see that the other way that it works is, you know, drivers come in and sit with me, and they go, oh no, look, instead of that, I've got to find a drive somehow. I've got to go out and win some money and get myself in a drive. But you never know. You never know. Navarra is an entirely different thing. And of course, brand new circuit for everybody as well. So big modern facility in Spain. And again, that's going to be a voyage of discovery because nobody's really got a great handle on how that's going to work.
Yeah, engineers are going to ask some other engineers who have been running these AutoGP cars a few weekends ago. And from there, I'm suspecting they will do their gear ratios and setups as a basis to start with. And my engineer told me that the characteristics of the track is quite similar to Ordos in terms of fast corners, breaking into the corners. So probably we'll start with Ordos setup as a basis, and we'll see.
All right, excellent. Well, now umbrellas a go-go to protect the dignitaries and the trophies as our drivers come through out onto the podium. Third place then, Frederik Vervish of Liverpool. And this is how they would have started the super final, just to remind you. So this is the effective result of the super final. Spurs, second place. Craig Dolby, fastest man in his group in qualifying, just missed out on pole, but he was full of confidence this weekend. And Bambi does it again. Earl Bamber, last weekend for FC Porto on the top step, this weekend for PSV. Next weekend, another new suit, another new hat in Navarra, who can tell? Maybe he'll be able to continue the magic through, but what a fairy tale weekend. Whatever else happens, people won't be saying Earl who for too much longer, I feel.
He didn't even have a helmet before Ordos. He was looking desperately for a helmet, for a racing suit, and you know, he won both races. I mean, it's really amazing.
Yeah, borrowed suit from Adley Fong, borrowed helmet from John Martin, gloves from Craig Dolby, all sorts of stuff. Now he's got his own gear, but there was just not time to arrange it before. So Frederik Vervish receives the trophy, and the third place check for €50,000 goes to Liverpool. Great trophies they got here, lots of ceramic ware. Last weekend they were in the shape of Mongolian horses, of course, the Przewalski's horse that has been the mainstay of Mongol nomad life for centuries. And of course, Beijing, the head of many Chinese dynasties, Ming, Ting, Tung, and all the others. And of course, for many, many years, the home of the emperor. And that being reflected in the trophies here. €75,000 go to Tottenham. And Tottenham head to the final in Navarra, just 12 points off the championship lead. And brim full of confidence. Craig Dolby's been second before, doesn't really fancy coming second yet again. And now our race winner for the second weekend, if he's going to be willing to leave China and continue racing anywhere else. Earl Bamber, 2 for 2 super final wins. Different car, different circuit, different weather, same result. €100,000 he earns this time for PSV Eindhoven. So congratulations indeed to the Kiwi. Congratulations to everybody as well. Another fantastic show. And thank you so much to our partners here in China for bringing Superleague away. While they managed to keep relatively dry in the cars, no chance of that here, I'm afraid. A good soaking. They don't need too much encouragement, let's say, to get busy with the fizzy. There'll be some for friends, family, and particularly mechanics downstairs as well. They're going to go for the drop. No, I think it'd be safer to carry it down the stairs. It's an awful lot of weight to carry if the mechanics downstairs trying to catch it.
Ah, come on!
Yeah, okay, we know each other a lot better. We're all now much closer friends than we were before, but still, the knife between the ribs. You just can't take those opportunities and leave them there. Frederik Vervisch has the final word with the champagne, and suitably dripping wet, our top three show their trophies.
Okay, up air, up air.
Well, Earl Bamber with victory for PSV, and Spurs' Craig Dolby, he is in the title hunt. 5 cars realistically in the title hunt. Anderlecht will lead by 7 from Basel when things get underway in a fortnight in Navarra. Behind them, Spurs and Olympiacos just 12 points adrift, both cars, and Milan, they are 25 points behind the guys in front of them. So they have a 37-point deficit to the leader, but with 50 points for race 1, 50 for race 2, and 6 for the super final win, still 5 cars in the hunt. 106 points. And strictly speaking, Andy, your car, Flamengo's team, 87 points behind. You could still put yourself in the top 2 or 3 in the championship.
I think it will be very difficult. They are all very consistent drivers. We will actually going to try to score a win one of the races and then go to the super final and try and win that. And with that amount of points, I think we can make a good step forward in the championship. But our aim is to be performing well in the super final instead of chasing for the championship.
Well, 106 points on offer, and I don't think that they will all end up going in one direction. As you say, the guys at the front aren't there by accident. They've been consistent point scorers all season, and they may well be the ones that come out on top. So here is a look at the table then. Just to reiterate, no points scored here in the Beijing Cup. So this is after Ordos, as they will go then to Navarra in a fortnight's time. Anderlecht by 7 from Basel, 12 behind Olympiacos and Spurs, and Milan 591 to the 635 of Anderlecht. They are just over 40 points behind, but with 50 for each race plus 6 for the super final win, 106 maximum points on offer. Definitely any of those 5 cars could take it, and Flamengo and Liverpool in the battle for the other positions, and certainly both your car and I'm sure that of Frederik Vervisch, the Liverpool car, will be trying to take a win to round out the season on a high. Well, battles up and down the order as well. Girondin, Sporting, Sevilla, just 11 points covering those 3 clubs. And even behind Atletico, they were 12 ahead of PSV here, and only 22 ahead of Olympique Lyonnais, so all sorts of things may yet change. Team China, well, it's been great to race here in China with Chinese participation from Team China, and of course Beijing, although they really did lack the luck, they may well need to consider putting an 8 on the front of their car, the traditional Chinese lucky number. So 2 dramatic races then here on the streets of Beijing. Starting from the beginning, race 1, poleman FC Porto's Alvaro Parent. Fuel pressure problem robbing him of a chance to lead the race. Into the second corner, Sevilla, too ambitious, going around the outside of Atletico Madrid. Both cars off and into the barriers. Well, Roma took the lead early on, and in the battle of the Chinese teams, Beijing chasing Team China, looping the car around. Safety car came out, and Craig Dolby for Spurs, first of the front runners to stop. He came in from second, coming in from the lead, but a drama for Roma with the left rear wheel meant they were late out of the pit lane, and Spurs was on top of the pile. China losing a nose wing, it wedged under the car, and into the wall hard went Adeli Fong. Pass of the race, Liverpool flying through the chicane on the push to pass, deposing Olympique Lyonnais from 3rd place. Victory though in the end comfortably went to Spurs, as they rounded out the top step of the podium in race 1. Girondin in second and Liverpool claiming third place. Well, it was a great result for Tottenham Hotspur and Craig Dolby. He was really on form in qualifying and in race 1. And in race 2, Anderlecht starting from the front, but he was immediately in trouble. Sevilla and Porto giving chase. And as Anderlecht struggled for grip, Sevilla and Porto slipped through in the same corner. Davide Rigon was soon in the pits and in retirement, hoping to continue his championship lead and the battle for a second Super League title in Navarro. So we had Sevilla and Porto, an all-Iberian battle for the lead, but in the rain that soon arrived, Sevilla, the leader, were caught out. John Martin banging his way up the order for Beijing from near the back of the grid. Sevilla outbraking himself into the escape road, handing the lead to Porto. Wet weather and everybody now on wet weather tyres. John Martin picking up another place at the expense of Roma. Porto trying to lap Girondin, pinched at the apex onto the curbs, spinning around, bringing out the safety cars. A restart then for just a 5-minute period was deemed necessary, so as the cars lined up on the grid, Porto were put back in front, much to the disappointment of PSV, who looked as though they might lead the field in the final 5 minutes. Slippery and treacherous as Galatasaray spun, nearly taking Sevilla with them. Just a heartbeat reflex, catching the car under Marcos Martinez and avoiding the walls. Battles down the order, the two French clubs, Olympique Lyonnais and Girondin, making contact, both of them with damage. In the end, PSV tried hard but couldn't pass Porto. Alvaro Perrin taking the team's second win of the season and his first on a street circuit in Super League Formula. Treacherous conditions, he managed to cling on though to take that much wanted win. However, top step on the points poll went to PSV and Earl Bamber. Well, Abby Griffiths is down in the pit lane in what is becoming something of a habit. I think it might well be time to talk to our commentary buddy Earl Bamber.
Earl Bamber wins twice. The commentator that comes to China thinking he's going to talk races and goes away with 200,000 euros.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Well, we started last today on the grid, and who would have thought we would win 100,000 euros and win the weekend? So big congratulations to the team. They did a fantastic strategy with the tyres and everything like that. And yeah, once again, like last weekend, I can't believe it, but this time in my own stuff. And yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, great.
Speechless, Earl, speechless. Now, what does this mean going into Navarra? Are you going to be racing for one of Anthony Reid's teams?
I don't know. I hope so. Maybe we can win 300,000 euros. But yeah, I'd love to be on the grid. It's a fantastic championship. Love driving the cars, and yeah, it's been a brilliant 2 weeks, a fairy tale 2 weeks, and yeah, can't get the smile off my face. And yeah, bring it on.
Bring it on. And the drama of this weekend, topped off by these conditions, though, Earl. What an event for everyone to watch. What a spectacle.
Yeah, a great spectacle. We couldn't see anything. I hope the people on TV could probably see one car, because I could only see one red light, and that's what I was following around the lap. So yeah, brilliant. Beijing's put on a fantastic show for us, and yeah, hopefully we'll come back next year. And yeah, I've really enjoyed my experience here in China.
And who do you think is going to win this championship?
Honestly, there's a number of the guys, and I'm quite good friends with all of them, so I've got to be careful on who I say. So I'm going to sit on the sideline.
No, come on, be honest, Earl, come on.
No, come on, I'm going to watch, because then I'll have Craig Dolby, Max Vittel, you know, Davide Rigon say, oh, come on, you don't like me. So I'm going to sit on the fence and just see. Maybe I'll have the best view in the house watching one of these races inside a car.
Yay, well, at the moment I can tell you stink of champagne, so go and enjoy drinking it.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, fantastic pair of race weekends for Earl Bamber, and you know, it's a long flight back to New Zealand. I don't think he'll be feeling the pain at all. He's had such a great time, and completely unexpected. Everybody else came here knowing they were going to race. He came here to watch and take part in the adventure, and what an adventure it's been. Remarkable story. And now, for everybody else, of course, time to pack up and get ready to fly home. They've got to be done by midnight. And then we head back to Navarra in Spain. But there is one thing, without any question, that we will all remember about our trip to China. Racing like you have never seen.
Corinthians, Robert Dormans. Oh, he's crashed. Dolby's gets past, but then she retakes second place.
Oh, that's a huge accident by Chris van der Drift. Dolby's out, he's lost his front wing.
Are you hurt?
I'm all right.
This is the effective battle for the lead. They go side by side. Oh, touch.
Spurs trying to get out the inside. Is this Dolby's chance? Yes, they're almost wheel to wheel.
Racing like you have never seen indeed, and that didn't even take in the action from Ordos and Beijing. There's an awful lot of extra excitement to add to that. And of course, one of the people who's been central to all of the Super League success, and particularly this trip to China, is our competitions director, Robin Webb. He's had a busy weekend, but Abby has caught up with him now.
Robin, when you decided to come to China, did you ever expect we were going to see racing like that?
Well, they've thrown everything at us, haven't they? I just couldn't believe when I was standing on the grid and it got very, very dark. And the cameras don't really show that, do they? They're amazing these days, but it was very, very dark. And I never thought that we'd end up with this incredible situation where it started to rain and then a red flag and actually some new situations for Super League here. So we've gone through a learning process as well.
I mean, how was it when you were seeing some of those events? Like, there could have possibly been a second red flag on such a narrow circuit, with Galatasaray actually being in the middle of the track.
Yeah, that was an interesting situation because where he actually spun, there was a yellow flag flying anyway, which means no overtaking. So I'm not quite sure what Alvaro Parenta was thinking of when he squeezed up the inside, and I really don't know what he was expecting, but really he should have been single file there, but he didn't overtake, so it was perfectly legal. He spun, and when we show a red flag, we go back one lap, and he was very lucky to take his place back up on the grid.
And the super final obviously being cancelled, is that absolutely due to these, really challenging conditions?
Yeah, under the regulations you can declare a race or that you won't run it if there's inclement weather. And inclement weather is normally defined by FIA people as not being able to see from one marshal's post to the next marshal's post. And we went up and had a little look, and you actually couldn't. I mean, it was so misty and wet and dark, you could not see the next marshal's post. So it was the right decision.
Now, it's not long till we go to Navarra in Spain. It's still so at the top of the championship, so close even. Who do you think is going to take it?
I like the body language of Davide Rigon. He's always cool and composed. He looks like he's a man that's expecting to do it. He's done it before, so he knows what he's doing. He looks very calm. But then you see something like Dolby, who was on fire this weekend. From the moment he started, he was quick. He was extraordinarily quick from the first lap he did in practice. And if he takes that sort of form to Navarra, which is another new circuit, so maybe Craig's ability to get his head round a new circuit is the factor that might just get him the championship. But, we're all going to Navarra. Let's see.
Thank you, Robin.
We are all going to Navarra indeed, and this is how they will line up, with Anderlecht at the front of the field, 7 points ahead of FC Basel. Spurs and Olympiacos both 12 points behind, and Milan, well, they are in the hunt as well. 106 points remain on offer at the brand new Spanish circuit in Navarra. So who is going to end up with the 2010 title?
Final round, final chance. This is for the championship. All can happen in Spain.
Rigon wins it! Victory for Basel!
We need to be quick, be constant, don't do a mistake, try to finish all through the race, because I work all the season for that.
We look pretty good because others was also a new track without any rubber on the track. So and our car was brilliant there. So I think we have a really good chance to win it.
Dolby and Spurs win!
We're going to drive fast, that's for sure. I'm going to have a lot of fun, and it means a lot to me in Tottenham Hotspur, so that's why we're going to win it.
Well, look at the gloom here. You can understand why there's no chance of running the super final. And that's going to pretty much bring us to the end of operations here. Our fortnight-long Chinese adventure concludes here. Andy Soucek, next time, 2 weeks in Navarra, we want to see you in the cockpit, not in the commentary booth. But thank you so much for joining us and talking us through some of the dramas here.
Thank you very much. I quite enjoyed it, and I hope to score a win in Navarra in my home race.
We look forward to that. And our thanks go not just to Andy, but to everybody who has made us so welcome here. It's been a fantastic trip from Ordos in Inner Mongolia and then here in Beijing. Next time out, the series finale at the new Navarra circuit in Spain. But in the meanwhile, from all of us here, on behalf of Delta Tray, the graphics guys, Gigawave, who provided the onboards, Endemol Sports for the facilities, from Matt and Richie, our production editors, Chrissy, our PA, Kevin, our series producer, and West, our director here. From Abby in the pit lane and all the others who have made this adventure possible, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for sharing it with us. We'll see you next time out in Navarra in Spain. Until then, from Super League Formula on the road in China, it is goodbye from us and goodbye till the championship decider.